The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Let's try that again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being with us here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
And that was the funniest thing you've ever said, too. And I can't believe you had the microphone clicked off and they missed it.
You know, not for nothing, but isn't that just my luck? I mean, really.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right.
I have the best line ever, and I mean that. That line, and I'm not going to say it again because
you can't. It lost it at that point.
Right. And all of a sudden, boom, there it is. Without Sacco, once again, we get screwed.
And I thought I was laughing like a bit. That was funny. That was funny. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, boss. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Living the dream over here.
You know, and one of the reasons why I love being on the air with you, and there's a litany of reasons, and we both know that, but and I'll explain why I notice it more this week than weeks prior.
Because you're going to brag, but go ahead.
Right. But you bring beer.
I did. I did
You
bring
walk
beer
in
tonight.
Hand me a beer, and
I did.
life is good.
Right.
So I can't thank you enough for it. I really can't. Thank you very much for making my day.
You're welcome. And I actually put a couple extras in there.
Just in case Sacco decided to
Right.
show
I
up.
put one in there for Sacco.
Uh-huh.
I put one in there for T-Bone.
Right.
And 2 for each of us.
Right. We know Liberal Jake probably won't be here for a little while anyways.
Right. And the whiskey is ready for him to go when we destroy his arguments once again.
That's right. Oh, man.
How the Red Sox doing?
Actually having a good spring training.
Really?
Yeah. I'm pretty psyched about it, honestly. I can't say enough good things about it. I think this is going to be a really good year. And how is everyone on your team?
Yeah. No, look, they're doing well. I think Zito actually was pitched 4 shutout innings.
Yeah.
The other day,
I did see that actually.
Yeah, and I'm curious if he's actually going to get a roster spot. I don't think he'll get a spot in the starting rotation, but I'm wondering if he'll get a spot as like a middle reliever.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. The guy's velocity is back up. The same coach that worked with Jared Parker to get him back, because he came back also, is working with Zito now.
Right.
And his velocity's back up again, and I guess some of the breaking balls he's throwing, some of the curveballs he's throwing is nasty, but went back to his fastball, curveball, and combination, and so who knows?
Well, and we've seen that out of other pitchers, though. We've seen that with other pitchers where they've taken a year off or something to that effect, and they've built some strength, they've built some elasticity back in their arm, and they come back. So, you know what? I hope he has a good year. He's one of those guys.
He signed to a AAA contract anyway, so the Nashville Sound will be able to. I need to go to a game.
Yeah.
Like in Nashville.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's find a way to make that happen.
Okay, mostly because I want to spend some time on Music Row with my cowboy boots.
Either way.
We can also go see a Nashville Sound game.
Okay. We could, yeah. You know me, I'm always down
Now,
to go
the world just heard you commit.
Dude, I said yes. What else do you need from me?
That's what I need from you, is a commitment. People don't commit anymore. They break them.
Yeah, well, I don't break it.
You almost just said you don't commit. Now, you see what you did there?
Well, you know what?
You had a Freudian slip. You had a
hate to
Sean
say
slip.
It. With what happened with Liz tonight, it's hard to commit to anything.
Right.
And if you listen to Ken's show earlier, you know what happened with Liz Laura. So, I mean, anything is... everything's up for grabs right now.
Not Liz.
Dude... You're right, not Liz.
Right?
Liz is not up for grabs, but everything else is. Oh, that was worth every single moment of it. I'll tell you what, folks. No, good night, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for us. That's all you get out of us. That's all you get.
That was a good one.
Oh, man.
Well, there's not a lot to talk about this week, so that's good.
I was going to say, thank goodness for slow news weeks.
Right. We're not getting into anything yet. Just simmer down over there, Warhorse.
Hey, you know what? I can't see the board. I don't know the times because I'm sitting in Sacco's chair.
And it's throwing me off. I don't like it when you do that.
I know.
Right? It's almost like we each have a side of the studio. We have our spot.
We do.
Right? And to put it in terms for folks who may not understand the importance of the dynamic of situation, like physical location within a studio for continuity and flow of material, it's like you have your favorite side of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're with somebody or not. And if you're with somebody, they have their favorite side of the bed. You just kind of work that out. And one person sleeps on one side and the other sleeps on the other. And when that gets thrown off, everything gets messed up.
I equate it to like a pod of killer whales.
We hate whales.
Right, but that doesn't mean that this isn't true.
Okay.
It just means we don't like those whaley bastards.
Right. With their fins.
With their fins.
All willy-nilly in the ocean.
Cone teeth and seal-eating ways.
Oh, look at me. I'm a whale.
Look, I can swim.
I'm a killer whale. Big old mean killer whale face.
But they all have their certain spots in the pod when they're swimming, right? So
everybody can relate to my story. Nobody is listening to your story right now.
I'm just filling time.
Nobody knows pod. What are you even talking about right now?
Podcast. Don't we do podcasts?
We do podcasts, and we have a spot in our podcast.
Other than that, I have no clue what I'm talking about, to be honest with you.
Right, which is amazing to me.
Why?
Because I don't know. Go ahead. Why was it so weird having me here, not here?
Not here.
Not here.
Well, I started a show this week.
You did.
On WNJC in Philadelphia.
And we congratulate you.
Thank you very much.
Sackhead's radio show wish to formally congratulate Sean.
Oh, thank you.
Sackhead Sean on his new venture with the show. So we'll be breaking up. Papers are... Oh, we're not.
No.
Oh, we're not.
No.
Oh, I thought this was a breakup show.
No, this was not a breakup
show.
Oh,
I had it billed as our breakup show.
Oh, really?
No, because I don't know how to do that. Right? That would require me knowing how to do social media. Right. And we all know how I find out about things, with Sean laughing at me.
Well, laughing and pointing, as it should be.
Right.
So, yeah, no, I'm on WNJC in Philadelphia, 1360 a.m., and I'm pretty psyched about that.
Is that the time, 1360?
No, it's actually 12 p.m. on the East Coast and 9 a.m. on the West Coast. Anyone who knows me, it's ridiculously early.
No, that is.
Yeah, it's sad. It really is.
Like
sad.
You have to wake up by 8:45.
I do wake up that early
to prep the show and get everything up and running.
But it's awesome, and I'm really, really glad to be on there, and I'm having a good time with the show. I had some great guests this week, and tomorrow I have Cami Foote, who's an Inyo County clerk reporter here in California.
Yep.
And she's going to be covering one topic that's very germane to Philadelphia.
Like the Jackson?
Yes.
Okay.
Regarding voting. So that'll be good for tomorrow. And another topic she has to do with voter integrity and not voter integrity. That's the first one. Second one has to do with a grant that she's working on that's being partnered with other states and other counties that'll really make the government more accessible.
And I'm excited that you have her on your show because she is an amazing, amazing person.
Brilliant woman.
She is. Brilliant. She really is. She really is. And she is so down to earth, which is awesome. And she is one of those people that serves for the sake of service.
Loves to serve.
Not for the sake of power, which is another thing when we talk about that here on the show all the time. And she is one of the very few out there who is like that. So listen to the show, check her out, check Sean's shows out. But she is an amazing person. So that'll be a good show.
Yeah, no, I like I said, she's awesome. And when you hear from her, it's funny talking to her how refreshing she is. Because, like you said, she lives to serve, and that's why she got into being the clerk reporter. She doesn't do it, like you said, for the power. She's just very, very genuine, which is an odd thing in politics. It shouldn't be odd, and it shouldn't stand out. but it is odd and it does stand out. So join me tomorrow morning on the West Coast at 9, but on the East Coast at 10 a.m. in Philadelphia. 12 a.m. Can't do math today.
That's not math, that's time.
I can't do time and math.
I can't do time or math. Or any such things.
Or any such thing.
What was
What? Just time. It's a time that we're trying to
Drink some beer.
Okay, here we go.
There you go. Does that feel better?
Much better. What's our first topic?
We're not there yet.
Okay, good.
I want to talk about the Secret Service, actually.
Oh, the Secret Service.
What?
Well, no, nothing's a secret with them lately. It seems like everything's really coming out. It kind of belies the name a little bit, Secret Service.
What are you talking about?
Well, there was the testimony the other day.
Right.
And it really got summed up last week when you had the two agents drive into the gate, intoxicated in a company vehicle, if you will.
You know you are screwed when both Democrat and Republican representatives on a congressional panel grill you.
Yes.
Right?
No, exactly. When they're both on the same side, if you will, and they're not fighting each other.
Particularly in this current administration and Washington atmosphere.
In the most divided, if you will, politically divided.
Oh, I will.
Oh, you will. Groups that we've seen in a long time in Congress. So when you sit down in front of them and both sides of the aisle are staring at you with daggers and getting ready to breathe down your neck and literally high-fiving each other, I thought I saw that.
No, I think you're right. I'm not completely sure.
You were in serious trouble.
I think if I remember right, I could be wrong on this, there was an open mic where one of the Democrats said to one of the Republicans, "Let's get this MFer."
Yeah, something to
right?
that
Something
effect.
like it. Joe Biden might have been there. I don't know.
I don't
but
remember
I think
how it happened.
And then they both giggled like schoolgirls and had a drink, I think. I don't remember who that was, though.
Giggled like schoolgirls. Oh, man. So
that sums up Congress, right?
That does sum up Congress, and it definitely sums up this particular topic. Listen, we all know there's systemic problems in the Secret Service. And one of my questions is, how far back has this been going? Is this something that, because they're under a little bit of a microscope, that these things are getting blown up when they used to get kind of swept under the rug? Or has it just run so amok over the last 6.5 years that agents are not taking their position seriously? And the only way to actually deal with it is to have a few drinks and drive into the gate of the White House. That's really my question in all of this.
So, look, when my favorite quote, dude, you're their boss.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
No, and I watched most of that hearing too.
Oh, yeah. How did you miss that? Representative Chris Stewart from Utah told Director Joseph Clancy, dude, I can't make this up.
That's like, I am leveling with you right now. Like, this is kind of a big deal.
Right, like I just grabbed you by the scruff of the neck.
And you're like, dude,
you don't have to earn their trust. You're their boss. They're supposed to earn your trust.
Truer words were never spoken.
So if a congressman says to a director of the Secret Service, dude.
I want to interview that congressman, and when he comes on, I'd be like, dude, that was such a great line, dude. Seriously, dude, you, nailed it.
No, you know what I want to tell him? Is I want to say, hey, why are you so culturally insensitive to use a term specific to California?
No, they have dude ranches
when you're in Utah. I almost said RuPaul-ta.
RuPaul-ta? What?
I almost said a Rutah.
I'm writing that one down.
RuPaul-ta.
RuPaul-ta.
That almost takes some serious stones in his own right to call the head of an agency dude.
Yeah, especially the Secret Service. Because you don't end up the head of the Secret Service just for showing up. The previous administrator did. But this one, I think there was a little bit more of a vetting process.
The only thing better would have been if he said bro.
Bro. Yo, homie. Dude, seriously.
Dude, bro. Check it out.
My biggest question, and there's somebody I want to talk to about this, Dan Bongino, who ran for Senate, but he wrote Inside the Bubble, Life Inside the Secret Service. He was a former New York cop who became a Secret Service agent, eventually moved up to the president's protection team. I would love to get his take on all of this and how much it has changed in the last few years. And really, is the Secret Service just kind of falling apart? Like, is it?
Well, they made the tapes of the incident disappear now, supposedly, right?
Yes, I've heard that too. Like, all of a sudden, they're just not being found.
Well, no, they erased them after 72 hours, right?
Right, and nobody thought.
Right.
Nobody thought we might want a copy of that at some point.
What about for an administrative hearing?
Well, what about for the most transparent administration in the history of the country?
Right.
It's funny how important things in documents disappear left and right. Like, let's just start running down the list of things that we can't find that we kind of need. Lois Lerner's emails, Hillary's emails. Now there's going to be questions about a couple of other things.
Right. No, but it's Secret Service's policy, right?
Yes.
According to 72 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
Congress. Well, yeah, because you're not going to discover a serious event. You would know within 72 hours.
Exactly.
Right?
I was just going to say that. What if you had, and I don't know anything about this, so if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But what if you were looking for somebody that was maybe, I don't know, what do they call, like casing the joint or something like that, more than a week earlier, and something happened, and now you can kind of look and see, like you can go back and look at the videos and stuff like that. I mean, wouldn't that be doesn't that make sense?
I think so.
Dude,
but
seriously?
Dude, you're their boss.
Dude, you're their boss.
But on the heels of all of this, the Secret Service has the stones to ask for $8 million to build a replica of the White House.
What?
So that they can train their agents. Right? Like, so here's what I think they're trying to do. They want to build a White House, $8 million, taxpayer money, so they can train their agents to respond, I guess, right? But you can't recreate everything exactly.
Well,
I mean, furniture changes, right? But so here's the thing, or I came up with an alternate explanation.
Oh, goody.
Do they want to build the replica White House and then get all their agents just smashed and then show them where they should drive to avoid all security cameras?
Hey, guys, just so you know, in the future, this is probably the route you want to take. That might actually do you a little bit better there.
Right. I like that explanation the best.
I read this, and you know what? Before all this insanity that was going on with the Secret Service came through, I would say that might not be a bad idea. And here's why. And I read it from a former canine handler somewhere online who's talking just specifically to the canines that work there. He said, it's one thing when you go to a giant, and they go to like tarmacs and stuff to practice, and they kind of have it like spray painted on the ground in the distance of the gate, etc., etc. But he said, it's very different for the dogs when most of your tracking is going to be through grass and stuff like that. It has something to do with their nose and how they smell or whatever. When you train on the same thing, the hard tarmac all the time, and then you go to the grass, the smell would be absolutely different. So 8 years ago, or 6 years ago, if they had said, hey, to better protect the president, we need to build, and we'll let other agencies use it to train, whatever, it doesn't matter why, I might be a little bit more okay with it. Yeah, you're right. You know what? We should have the best protection. We spend a lot of money for our military for training, and as we should, there are certain things when it comes to defense, and especially the safety of our president, I absolutely agree that it needs to be done. That being said, right now may not be the best time to come asking for help.
These guys, these people in the Secret Service right now would probably use it to see how many stripper poles they can fit.
Right.
On which particular portion of the White House, right? They want to do, I think, a mock-up of the North area. And, like, where they could stash beer. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm guessing.
I don't know either, and that's something we definitely need to work on. All right, guys, so most likely point of attack would be here. In case of said attack, you'll find a built-in beer cooler here underneath the north lawn window.
Right, but and that's if you get here and crash and you're not under the influence.
Right.
Down some of these really fast. That way they don't think that we're incompetent. We can just say we're hammered.
Right. We're hammered. It's an illness.
It's an illness, right? Help me. I need help. You sure? Because you seem like you're stone cold sober.
No,
I'm not.
No,
because that would be a training and performance issue.
Right, exactly.
And I don't want to get terminated or written up.
Who's that? Oh, that's Bubbles. She's the mid-watch Secret Service person that you've never met before.
Right. Where does she hide her gun? Because I'm pretty sure I can see her pancreas from here.
Is that glitter? Yeah, she uses that to throw at any possible threats and get it in their eyes, and her smell also doubles as a mace.
Right. So is she wearing like 6-inch platform heels?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes. Dude.
Okay.
Dude,
you're their boss.
Dude, you're their boss.
This is Bubbles.
Wouldn't it be great if there was an agent named Bubbles and now I just insulted her?
Or him.
Or him. Right.
Or
I forgot. Speaking of her or him.
Ken, how is he?
He's doing well, actually. He's doing well. I saw this a couple days ago, and I'm going to talk about it, I think, tomorrow. But I need to talk about it with you, because your reaction to this is important to me.
Okay, go.
Starbucks starting a new campaign to have their baristas talk about racial sensitivity.
Okay.
What is your thought on that?
Here's my thought on that. And my stance may surprise you.
Okay.
If some barista puts that on my cup, I'm going to throw the cup in their face.
No.
Look, they're a private company. They can do what they want.
Right.
I have a choice as a customer not to go there, particularly since Dunkin' Donuts is going to be opening locations near here.
Yes.
Right? There are other coffee establishments I can go to. I don't have to frequent Starbucks.
No.
I almost want to say something provocative just to see if somebody will actually put that on the cup.
Well, and I have a problem with it, and I'm coming at it from this point of view. And hear me out. I spoke to a barista today at Starbucks about it. True story. And I said, well, what do you think? And she's like, first of all, this is the first I've actually heard of it. She's like, so you would think that they kind of would send something to us before that. She's like, second of all, I'm 23, and I don't think that I have the right to tell anybody anything of what to do in their personal life. And the fact that my company's now going to force me to possibly have an uncomfortable conversation, I kind of think that's wrong.
See, I think they leave it up to the individual barista if they want to. I don't think they have to have that conversation.
Right.
Right? It's if they want to.
But still, and I look at this from a totally different angle, and hear me out. I think this is just a big publicity stunt.
Okay.
I think Starbucks is capitalizing on the racial tension in this country.
Okay.
And trying to make themselves look like a good guy.
Okay.
And now you're going to have some 24-year-old hipster with skinny jeans on telling you that you shouldn't order cream in your coffee because it's racially insensitive.
No, he's not. Because I'll tell him to go screw himself. I'll tell him to go screw himself. I'm the customer. I'm always right. So if I'm racially insensitive, it's because it's right to be that way, because as the customer, I'm always right. So his position is actually wrong.
I just want to walk in and be like, hey, give me a black coffee.
Right. Well, you can already go into Starbucks and order a tall, hot blonde.
Right.
Right.
And nobody thinks twice about it.
And nobody thinks twice about it.
Why isn't anybody?
So why can't you say, hey,
think
give me
about what a war on women that is.
Right. And how racially insensitive. Why is it I can't say I want a tall, hot blackie?
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's a contraction of black coffee. That's not racially insensitive. It's a contraction.
Jason brings up a good point, too, is this kind of broaches the legal immigration, because that can be considered racially insensitive as well.
Right.
Like, it does open the door. I didn't even think about that. And
this is going to open the door to baristas getting told to F off a lot.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of angry people.
A lot of it. And Starbucks could lose business as a result.
I think so. I think this is
I really
hurt
do.
them more than help them. And if you looked at Twitter today, I wish I pulled a bunch of them up. There was some great responses to Twitter about this, and it's called Race Together is the Starbucks movement. So check the hashtag Race Together on Twitter. A lot of people are having a field day with this, as they should.
Right.
There's a quote too. You know Bill Crystal from the Weekly
The
Standard?
comedian? Oh, yeah.
The comedian.
Right.
Did I almost say the Leaky Standard?
You almost said the leaky standard, I'm sure. Which is that problem that you had cleared up a few weeks ago.
What? Thank goodness.
That's what I said. I had to sit across from you. I'm like, really?
Oh, man. But he tweeted out a tweet early this morning that said, breaking news, British Prime Minister Cameron, in a close re-election contest, has called the White House to ask Obama to intervene against him. So that...
That's great.
I think that's tweet of the day right there. I really... And we are going to talk about the election, so I don't want to upstage it, but yeah, oh man, Ag in the chat room says the Leaky Standard is Carville. Thank you, Mary, who's been listening to me all day and listened to us tonight, and I really appreciate it. I hope she has a great night. I'll tell you, Washington's just a bloody mess right now. If it's not the Secret Service, it's emails. If it's not emails, it's us sticking our nose in where it just doesn't belong, and then not sticking our nose in where it does belong. It's a little frightening, to say the very, very least. I really, really hope, and I've been saying this all week, and I don't know why this has been bothering me this week, but I really hope that the Republicans and the conservatives begin to legislate for real soon.
They won't.
And that's what's so bothering me right now.
They won't. Did you see Glenn Beck actually just said he's out of the Republican Party? He will not give any more money to the Republican Party, not a dime.
Yeah.
He's out. He says, quote, I've made my decision. I'm out of the Republican Party. I am not a Republican. I will not give a dime to the Republican Party. I'm out.
That's big because, through Glenn still stayed a Republican through a lot of this, and he's had problems with the party for a long time.
He did, and he's always been a conservative. But he's stayed with the Republican Party with the thought process of, hey, listen, we can change it from the inside.
Yeah.
Right. If we get it, we can change it from the inside. And that's the party, in his opinion, is so screwed up.
And it is hardcore.
And it is. No, I'm not disagreeing with him.
No, I know what you're saying.
But from his perspective, it is so screwed up that he wants out, and he's done. I don't blame him.
And I think he goes.
I applaud him.
Yeah,
I really do for standing up for his belief system.
I've said this a lot. There's a lot of things that Glenn says I don't necessarily agree with, but I respect the man.
Like 2 + 2 is 4. You battled that one.
It's 4.5. If you base it off of just a simple line rule,
you battled that forever.
Again, we'll go over the graph with that later because I used physics to prove myself right.
Right, but the problem is you don't even know what physics are. Right? You thought it was Tinker
Toys. It worked
Toys.
in my favor. And it is Tinker Toys.
It is. It's the off-brand of Tinker Toys.
How do you think I learned physics?
Right.
Tinker Toys and Connects.
Right, with the little windmill thing. You know what those windmill plastic pieces were great for? Putting them in the spokes of your bike, so you didn't have to ruin Dad's playing cards.
Right.
Right.
I still ruin the playing cards just because, but that was a statement more
awesome.
than anything else.
Right.
I didn't necessarily have to do it.
Right, 52 card pickup. Old man, I'll show you 52 card pickup. One at a time in the spokes of my tires.
Slapjack, huh?
Yeah.
Too funny.
Yeah.
Now look at, instead of 52 cards, you have 104, old man.
Yeah, I know which card I ruined. I'm not asking for sevens.
Oh, man,
Go
I
fish.
miss my dad. Those were the days when we were young and Dad would just throw decks. When you did 52 pickup with your father, was he nice enough to take it out of the box?
Yes,
mine wasn't.
But yours was trying to hurt you. Mine was trying to keep me occupied.
In his words, he was teaching me to dodge, and he did.
Right.
I dodged really well.
Right. And you still do.
I kid.
Like a cat.
Like a nimble cat. Just a slightly overweight nimble cat with 3 legs and a blind eye.
Right, and missing whiskers on one side, so your equilibrium's off.
And a sock tied around my waist.
Right.
But other than that, I am just like a cat.
Exactly, like a cat.
Hey, folks, we are up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk the Israeli elections and a whole lot more here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Talk to you on the other side.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid crow.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border,
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we are back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Man, I'll tell you what. Yesterday, and it tells you just how horrible exit polls are, and it also tells you that mainstream media especially screws things up, if you will, in this country. Anyhow, I'm not saying anything about Israeli mainstream media, but if you had looked at the news yesterday, earlier in the day, you would have thought Netanyahu was in just such serious trouble that there was no way, or at least the party, there was no way they were going to pull it out. You were hearing how the Arab base was all fired up and they came out to vote, how, you know, the left in Israel was fired up and coming out to vote, etc., etc., etc. And then, not handedly, but he ended up winning by a pretty decent margin, or the party did. And thank goodness, because I was sweating it, because I don't care what anyone says, Netanyahu is the man that country needs at this time, and in the future. And, you know, it would have really been ridiculous to me to have anyone else in that seat, and any other. I know he has to build a coalition, et cetera, but let's face it, he is a major part of what keeps that country safe. So it was a squeaker, if you will, but not not surprising that the party regained control. And, there's so many things coming out now about the Obama administration having hands in the opposition and trying to push for the opposition, which is just frightening. That we once again, this country has a tendency to put their hands in where it doesn't belong. And everything he touches turns to the opposite of what he wants. I mean, look at Egypt. Look at what happened with Egypt when they put in the Muslim Brotherhood. And all of a sudden that fell apart.
No, that was an Arab Spring.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the Arab.
Right.
Hold on. Let me check my notes. No, we pretty much installed...
No. Check your notes again. It was the Arab Spring.
And that fell apart. And it wasn't until correctly elected president of Egypt that it's starting to restabilize what was a really stable country in the region, and was a partner of Israel as well. So that now we have the Israeli election, where there are words that there was international money that was seriously trying to influence the election. Now there's huge look at voter fraud that's potentially coming out. And I was reading an article by Pam E. Legler, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. I haven't seen it before, but it's everyone's saying that our administration, had boots on the ground during this election, and they were trying to rally against the Netanyahu and the party. So, is it surprising to you that this happened? Is it surprising to you? And, by the way, the president has yet to call and congratulate Prime Minister Netanyahu. Meanwhile, there was a whole list of monsters that he has called, including Putin, to congratulate on wins within 24 hours of the win. Still hasn't called Prime Minister Netanyahu. Is any of this shocking to you, Clint?
No, actually it's not. And that's sad.
Yeah, it's very sad.
I'm actually not surprised that Bibi won. I think he's the best thing for Israel. I think the Israeli people believe that. And that is obviously the case when you have rumors of lots of international money pouring in to influence this election, right?
Yep.
What didn't surprise me either, unfortunately, is the White House's reaction. Josh Earnest said today that Obama still believes in a two-state solution. So Netanyahu wins, and I think what Netanyahu said yesterday, no, he does not believe in a two-state solution.
Yeah, I think it was before yesterday, 2 days ago.
Right,
now.
Okay. Recently.
But still.
And so the White House comes out and makes that statement. President Obama still believes in a two-state solution. A slap in the face, obviously, and a direct conflict with what Israel's prime minister just said a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a clear statement. Didn't call to congratulate him like you said,
which is just really and we talked.
It's classless.
Huge.
It's classless.
Huge lack of class. It is our closest ally at all, or should be. And you can't even call. Listen, I don't care. All right, say you're the president and you don't get along with Netanyahu as a person. Let's just say your personalities don't mix.
Right.
You still act like a leader and pick up that phone and you call the leader of our allied nation, one of our closest allies.
Right.
A country that we have supported for years and will continue to support whether this administration wants to or not. And you say, hey, congratulations. Don't have time to chit-chat, but I just wanted to make sure that good for you.
Congratulations, and hey, I look forward to working together.
Yeah.
Something
to that effect. Hey, it was a close one, but you pulled it out. Beer later on me. Something. You do something.
Like literally on me, BB. I'll pour it all over me, right? I don't know.
Right. It's something.
Something. But and Ernest also basically talked down about the Likud party,
yep.
Netanyahu's party, because the party was talking about, hey, there are concerns about the amount of Arab voters turning out, but I think that concern was more almost like in our country, if and I'm not saying all Arabs over in Israel are illegals, but hey, there's going to be a huge Arab turnout for the vote. We obviously do not want a two-state solution. Are these legal votes would be part of that concern as well, which there's voter fraud coming up, so that's obviously not a stretch. But Ernest says the White House is deeply concerned about that language. Really? What about what language are you deeply concerned about, and why is it any of your freaking business?
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's not.
It's none of your business whatsoever.
It's none of your business
now, listen,
at all.
If Israel wasn't letting certain groups vote, and they were, using armed force or something like that to keep certain groups from voting, etc., then I could see why we would have concern.
Right.
As an ally, as a nation we support, if they had done something like that, then yes, you need to step up and you need to say, this can't happen, etc., etc. But
and you have to actually say, etc., etc.
No, well, yeah, that's why I put that in there.
Okay, I'm just making sure our listeners understand that you have to say that.
I'm pretty sure that's standard ambassador talk right there.
No, it is. It's standard issue. It's almost like that's one of those things you write down in ambassador school. Kind of like, do you remember when Crash was teaching Nuke about what to say? Right? We got to take them one day at a time. I'm just, right? Et cetera, is one of those ambassador things that get written down much in that same manner.
Baseball's here when we're making Bull Durham references.
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And I found a list, and somebody in the chat room was nice enough to link this, of people that the president had congratulated within a few days of winning the election. In 2012, it took President Obama just a few hours, and this is from Breitbart, to congratulate Muslim Brotherhood candidate and then Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi. In 2013, it took Obama a full week before he called Netanyahu to congratulate him, a week, and then hours from Morsi. In 2012, Obama called Putin to congratulate what was most likely a rigged election, and with everything else that was going on in the region at the time. In 2013, Obama broke 3 decades of silence to congratulate Islamist Iranian Prime Minister Hassan Rouhani. And in 2012, Obama congratulated former Saudi king on his heir, Prince Salman, and so on and so forth. So it's not like we don't do that. It's not like he's never done it and he's like, hey, you know what, that's just not my thing. Okay, if you've never done it with any other country, I wouldn't care. But you've done it.
Right, but you broke 30 years of silence
to congratulate Iran. I want to know, does Iran have pictures of him doing something? Because I cannot believe, and I know this isn't the topic for this, but I just can't believe how much this president is into Iran all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden, Iran is like the new hot girl in school. Like he's just all up in their Kool-Aid.
And doesn't know the flavor.
It doesn't know the flavor.
Doesn't know the flavor at all.
Absolutely. Ken will like that reference. But I digress. Please continue. I'm sorry.
No. No, not after your little tirade. I think, so you brought up Iran, which is interesting. So I'm wondering, and I've kind of been thinking about this today a little bit, and it hurts a lot when I think a little. But what is Netanyahu's win going to do potentially with the discussions with Iran?
Yeah.
Because Israel under Netanyahu will not stand or wait around for Iran to get a weapon.
Two things.
Right? That other.
In charge.
What's that?
Two things won't happen while Netanyahu's in charge.
Iran will not get a nuclear weapon.
And there won't be a second state with Palestine.
Exactly.
Those two things are a done deal.
Exactly. And both of those things are what the Obama... Well, I don't know about the first one, but the Obama administration certainly wants a two-state solution.
Yes.
And I really don't think they're worried about Iran having nukes. Israel has nukes, correct?
Yes.
And look, part of me really believes, or I have to at least wonder, if the Obama administration, look, they believe in redistribution of wealth.
The redistribution of everything, right?
Right. So if Iran has a nuke, or excuse me, if Israel has a nuke, it's not fair that Iran doesn't have one to defend itself. right? I wonder if part of the
I wish
negotiations...
this didn't make as much sense as it does right now.
How scary is that, right? Like, this is insane logic, but you can put the president, you can put that thought in his mind.
It's like out goldfish in the cafeteria in elementary school.
Yes, I wonder if these nuclear talks are, so, you have 2 million barrels of oil. We have 1 million. We have 200 nuclear warheads. You have 0. We'll give you 100 nuclear warheads, so we each have 100, and you give us another X number of barrels of oil, and we'll be even with oil and nukes. Is that good?
We hope that works out for you.
Right, the negotiations. And it's not a treaty, it's a trade.
Right, it's straight up
and
trade.
Congress can't
do anything
right,
about
which
that.
is why they're saying that letter was illegal.
It all makes sense now.
It all makes sense now. Look, we just solved the conspiracy of a lifetime right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, ladies and gentlemen. And the scary thing is, as ridiculous as that sounds, you actually kind of make sense of it.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Right?
It does make sense. And it shouldn't make sense. And again, that's how little faith I have in this administration.
Right, and we're not saying this is we're not saying it's true, that we believe that that's a conspiracy that's happening necessarily. We can't confirm it right now. But
I love throwing that caveat at the end of things.
But that is just it's so ridiculous. 12 years ago, 10 years ago, if we had this discussion, it would be, no way, that's ridiculous, right?
It's so ridiculous, it just might work. This thing is so crazy, it just might work.
But I wonder if, I honestly wonder if something in the back of the administration's thought process isn't that they almost want Iran to have some capability in their twisted mind to be able to defend themselves from an aggressive Israel with nukes.
Well, and listen, if the
what do you think of that?
If the roles were reversed,
what do you think of that line of thought?
If the roles were reversed, and Israel was the great aggressor, as they like to make them out to be, and Iran was truly a peaceful nation with very, very little resources and was in dire need, and a good nation, a nation of good leadership, good standing. They haven't been the problem children that Iran would be, and have been for years now, since 1977, 78. Then I would almost be willing to listen a little bit more. I wouldn't necessarily agree, but you'd say, okay, you have one nation that's threatening, kind of like, let's take North Korea and South Korea. That's a really good example, right?
Right. I don't know. I don't know what your example is going to be, so I'll just agree with you.
One nation
under God
just wants to annihilate another nation. You have North Korea wanting to unify South Korea and essentially annihilate anyone that doesn't want to be part of the unification.
And Iran just wants to completely wipe
Israel off
the face of the planet. Yes.
Right. So,
and then go after the great Satan.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to. Listen. You don't just start with the great Satan. You got to warm it up a little bit. You know,
right?
So you start with. Wouldn't that be the ultimate irony? If
I see what you did there, Iran-y. I caught that.
I'm here all week, folks. Wouldn't it be the ultimate irony if we...
I'm sorry, I think that's great.
Anytime we talk about Iran now, I have to use that phrase.
It's got to be ironic. Irony.
Ironic. If we pushed forward, or the administration pushed forward with this Iran deal, and before Obama was even out of office, they fired the first nuke, or snuck a dirty bomb into Israel and ignited it, or something like that. And I ask that question seriously. Well, and it's frightening to me to think, but they're not. And listen, I trust Netanyahu and Israel's intelligence enough to know that they're close, too close for comfort. And do we want to give them that little bit they need to push it up over the edge?
No.
And no, obviously not. But that's a question I'm asking the administration.
Oh,
sorry, that was.
I thought you were asking me. You were looking right at me when you said that.
Apparently, nobody in the administration thought about this before, which is bizarre to me.
No.
But do you want to be the president?
No.
Not you specifically. Let me finish this one.
I'm sorry. You're looking in my eyes.
I'm sorry. Do you want to be the president who allows Iran to get a nuclear weapon and create a bigger problem in the Middle East than what is already there? And the answer would seem to me to be no.
Hey, wait a second. You can't answer a question that I answered and then answer it the same way.
Sorry, I had to do the thing with the stuff and then move things around. Yeah, why?
This administration scares me. And I really want to know what Congress is going to do and if an agreement or a treaty is reached. And we defined treaty last week on this show, and see if Congress is going to have the fortitude to step up. I don't think they will.
I don't think.
I have zero faith in this Congress right now. Particularly
I
with how they handled the whole funding Homeland Security
and immigration, et cetera. Yeah, I think we're going down a bad path, and I think we're in a lot of trouble.
You brought up something interesting about sneaking in a dirty bomb. You see the rail, like the high risk rail shipments, were like for the checks of the trains coming in. They were like, yeah, some really bad stuff could have gotten in because
we never would have known.
Right, because we weren't checking the rail system per protocol. And as a matter of fact, the folks checking that, or who were supposed to be checking that, yeah, they weren't even trained on how to do it right with the equipment. Did you see this report?
No.
You didn't?
I thought this was actually leading to a joke, and now I'm just depressed.
Why would I joke about something so serious?
Because it's
the
Sackheads radio show, and we have a tendency to do that from time to time.
Right, we're just a complete
here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Wow. You know, it's funny how we have money for Homeland Security to ride the Amtrak train and look for people.
Maybe that's why they didn't do it. They weren't using the tools they were supposed to use. They were riding Amtrak instead. So there was a report that came out from the Inspector General, and it said that Customs and Border Protection were not properly screening rail cargo that was coming in from Mexico and also from Canada. And the best part is that they said weapons of mass destruction and, quote, potential instruments of terrorism could have come into the country, which is perfect.
Depressing and perfect.
No, it's perfect. According to this article, and FoxNews.com has the article under threats, watchdog, potential instruments of terrorism could be slipping into U.S. on rail shipments. It's a pretty good article, but according to Border Protection or Customs and Border Protection policies and the article here, they weren't properly screening the rail cargo, and they couldn't say for sure whether they did the right thing by releasing various high-risk shipments.
Well, you know,
in the United States. So their policy, Border Protection policy, requires the inspectors to use, quote, large-scale, non-intrusive inspection equipment, end quote, that are supposed to scan the shipments and then flag them as high risk, and then supposed to check them also with other things like, you know, detect the radiation meters. I think that's what they're called. But they failed to do this. They failed to follow protocols, and in some cases, some of the agents were not trained properly in the use of the equipment that they were by policy supposed to be using.
Oh, good.
And according to the IG report, there was a sample of 254 high-risk rail shipments from 6 different ports that were processed through 2012 and 2013, the fiscal year. And in 23% of the shipments tested, nearly 1 in 4, the officers used incorrect targeting data.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that's just loverly.
Yeah. And wait, the best part.
Oh, it gets better.
The report said that the agents did not always use the required radiation detection equipment, and they missed that 72% of the time.
I'm sorry about the mic hit, folk. I'm just trying to rub my head and make sense out of this all.
You can't make sense out of
this.
So
the organization...
And the reason I brought it up is you said smuggle a dirty bomb into Israel and detonate it. Well, Why couldn't they smuggle that here into the United States?
Oh, well, you look at our ports.
I just briefed you on.
Well, that's our southern-northern border. I tell people all the time, and way back in the day, I had the luxury of actually working around some ports here and there. What you can bring in on a private ship via ports is insane. The only time you would get inspected, for the most part, is if your last port of call was a nation that we had odds with for one reason or another, or if you were carrying cargo that was believed to be, or what you have deemed to be dangerous, natural gas, coal, et cetera, et cetera. But if you were just like a steel ship or a trash ship, which they have, believe it or not, or something like that, or you were coming in to pick up refuse like crunched metal or something to go out, the inspection was minimal. Even after 9/11, and I was a lot of the guys who worked for then Immigration and Customs Patrol said, "Hey, you wouldn't believe what they bring in on these ships, and we don't have the resources to keep." And this is after 9/11 to keep up with it. We have thousands upon thousands of ships entering our ports every single day from flagged nations that have terrorist ties, that have a rogue regime, etc., and our scanning of them is minimal. So the rails, the boats, we don't protect our borders. We don't protect our people. We don't go out of our way to, the things that we do check up on. And I think this is amazing. If you're a good citizen in America, in some states, you can't carry a firearm to protect yourself against a horrible citizen, but
well, that's because why would
then be a risk to the public, according to the crazy
right? Well, why would the horrible citizen have a gun? They can't have it lawfully. They're a horrible citizen, Sean. Duh.
But so that on one hand you have that mindset, and on the other hand you have borders that are just so wide open. You could sling a ship filled with a dirty bomb through it without any problem whatsoever. It's scary to me what our priorities are, and a lot of this does go back to immigration, and that's sad. But our border protection, our immigration system is just so defunct and destroyed that it's only a matter of time. And look at with ISIS acting how they are, it's only a matter of time.
We have a story correction about the Obama administration not congratulating Netanyahu.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Secretary Kerry.
Oh, good.
Congratulate. Now, I don't know if that's
Did
Secretary.
He have James Taylor with
him?
hang
on a second. I don't know if that's Secretary of State John Kerry or if it's Secretary Kerry, the lady, the broad up front with the skirt and the high heels that works in the front office
hey,
part
Kerry?
of the White House.
Yes, Mr. President. Can you call Netanyahu and say whatever?
Congratulations. Yeah, and so that way we could say Secretary Kerry called. Is that okay?
I wonder if he
I don't know which one it is.
Conference call with James Taylor on the phone.
Right.
And we're like, "Hey, Mr. Netanyahu, you got a friend."
Right.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Oh, is your refrigerator running? No, I'm just kidding. I have no sense of humor. I'm John Kerry. Click. What a ridiculous.
No, he didn't call. I think it was just via some public statement
it
thing
was
or
via
something. I don't
Facebook.
know. It was
he Facebooked him.
He Facebooked him.
That's how
he
I found out.
Snapchatted him.
He Snapchatted him. Mr. Prime Minister, you have a Snapchat from a J. Kerry Hines. Really? I wonder what this could be. Congratulations. Click. Yeah, that was lovely. Thank you. See how I did the Hines thing there? That was kind of funny.
No, it wasn't.
Well, all I could say is I'm really thankful that at least Israel's in good hands. We might be a mess.
I'm really happy Israel's in good hands, and hopefully we will be in better hands in another.
My name is Michelle Bongiovanni. I'm 17 years old, and I'm a drag race.
That's awesome. That was like a party in our ear. I don't think that went out, so it's too bad that people couldn't hear that.
Because that was awesome.
That was the most awesome music. That would have been perfect for our break. But we just have the same old dull sackheads music going to break. When we come back,
we're going to talk about the Tunisian attack.
Yeah, that's serious tragedy today. So, way to bring us down. We'll be back at 3 here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Well, we're going to bring us back up at the last segment.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid crow.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border to say coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show here on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us. And you know, there was tragedy in Tunisia today. Gunmen stormed a museum. At least 5 gunmen was the last I heard. Now it's up to, I believe, 20 people who have died as a result. The interior minister of Tunisia stated that it was an Islamist attack, and really it's just a horrible thing, but something that we've become used to. And I know you have a lot more about this that you want to talk about, so I don't want to upstage you.
You already did, so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, this is your party. Go ahead. I'm just here to enjoy the beer that I brought.
You throw the best parties.
And the disco ball.
You throw the best First of all, the disco ball, I must say.
It was amazing, right?
Dude, added a touch of class to the studio.
Thank you.
For a while. You have an eye for feng shui, my friend.
Thank you. And you didn't even comment on the bubble machine or the glow sticks.
What needs to be said? I mean, really. At
our
that
listeners
point,
can't see this.
I forget that. I think we're so close to our listeners that they're actually in the room with us at all times.
They should be.
They should be.
They're in our hearts at all times.
Every single moment of the day.
Now, don't wink and say that's not true and mouth it where they can't see or hear that, because it is true.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, this was in the National Bardo Museum, and initially they said 2 gunmen, and I think you said now it's up to 5-ish, and I'm not able to confirm that right now. But it was the worst attack on a tourist site in Tunisia in years. Now, Tunisia is in the northern part of Africa. I know most of our listeners know that because we have a very educated group. of folks. But it actually borders Libya on the east and Algeria to the west. And Tunis, the city that this occurred in, is up on the Mediterranean Sea. It's on the northern portion of Tunisia,
right,
along the Mediterranean there. And several tourists were inside the museum late before security forces were able to respond to the scene and go in. Again, they called it the worst tourist attack or tourist site attack in Tunisia in years. And the country here is really, at this point, young and trying to establish democracy in its country. And they're really trying to keep the extremists at arm's length. They're not trying to let them get a foothold, which I think is even more interesting here. The museum is near their national parliament building, which they had to evacuate as well. It houses one of the largest collections of Roman mosaics in the world, and they don't know exactly who the attackers are. However, Tunisia has been involved with violent encounters with various Islamic extremists recently. So, including ISIS, I believe. So, is this a big deal? Well, yeah, because it's potentially another attack, and this is kind of we're talking about the Tunisian attacks, but it rolls a little bit here into terror block as well. So. But we see a major attack here in this country that's really trying to get it right and again establish the democracy and so forth. And does Tunisia mess with anybody? I mean,
Not
did
really.
they contribute like a Cessna or something that overflew in the coalition that potentially angered ISIS?
No, and like you said, they're a small nation that's trying to get it right. Jason Miller, thank you for the updated information. It was a total of 19, 17 were tourists, as you said, and then 2 were Tunisian citizens. I believe those 2 may have been security guards. But no, you have a small nation who, like you said, isn't bothering anybody. And it was just an opportunity by these Islamists, either Al-Qaeda or ISIS or whoever it may be operating in the region or chose that target. It's an active shooter incident that we fear in this country. We've talked about it time and again on this show, where you have an unarmed citizenry in a public place with minimal security and a large number of tourists and citizens inside that can be easily attacked and harmed. And in this case, 19 were killed. It frightens me because as there's an influx, and we saw with the former Air Force member this week who was trying to join ISIS, we have an influx of these extremists here in this country. And this is not...
we do, and here's why this scares me, and I think I'm differentiating now between an active shooter event and an active terrorist event. And again, I haven't seen confirmation that this is a terrorist attack, but it sure as hell feels like one to me. So an active shooter attack in our traditional terms would be somebody that goes into a public place, commits random acts of violence, right? Trying to commit like a rapid mass murder type of event. But typically, there's not coordinated small unit tactics used. And when I say active terrorist event, as I'm starting to look at these more and more, and as these come out and we talk about them here on the show, we're seeing a coordinated attack. We're seeing these multiple attackers that are using small unit tactics in order to achieve whatever their goal is, right? Rapid mass murder, for example, for purposes of terror. And we saw it in France, how they exited the vehicle, and it was talked about ad nauseum, right? Advanced law enforcement attacked them, got back in, moved. They were moving and shooting. They were obviously trained. We saw it in Mumbai, India, when the Mumbai attacks happened there, and potentially we just saw it in Tunisia today.
Well, and this is completely unconfirmed. I just got this breaking news. Incident in Sweden where a man just walked into a bar with a machine gun, and I don't know if it was a solo or not. But they're saying multiple fatalities. This is just coming in literally as we speak.
We had a shooting in Mesa, Arizona today here as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it was terror related.
Right. Well, this is very out of sort for Sweden, though. This sort of incident. Right. So,
but what I'm concerned about here is more of a new emerging tactic that the terrorists are using to commit these rapid mass murder events, for lack of a better term, right?
Right.
It's this active shooter style, but with a twist, with the tactical element involved, and
which makes it 10 times more frightening.
It really does, and here's another reason why it makes it even more frightening. There is a movement in this country right now, as we're seeing this new threat emerge on the global level. There's a big push in this country to demilitarize the police. Some folks have this view of
in some cases disarm
of a militaristic police, right? Which is not the case in this country. If anybody thinks that our police departments are militaristic here in this country, I invite you to go live in other parts of the world like Iran. But they don't like them having armor vehicles, for example. Again, armor is defensive in nature, folks. Let's apply logic. Oh
no, I've seen armor transform into these robots.
No, that was a toy that we played with as kids.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw it.
So here's what has me concerned in this country and why we bring up these world events. And, what does it really have relevance here in the United States? Well, because it could very easily happen here. We know the terrorists want this to happen here. And so my concern...
They've called for it time and again.
Right. My concern for it happening here and having a very mass casualty incident here in the United States is because, one, this trend of small unit tactics being used to commit rapid mass murder events through coordinated attack, meaning coordinated amongst the attackers themselves, who seemingly train together, work together, operate together, right? They kind of understand how they maneuver and work and can fight as a team or as a unit, whether it's 2, 3, 5, whatever it is. And then this other push simultaneously within our own country with rampant hatred for law enforcement right now. So you have major public relations issue and trust issues from members of the public, and real or perceived.
Right.
Okay. And it's certainly not being helped along by anybody in the media or anybody in California with any kind of say or in any position of power. Combined with some of those same folks and even another group, even some libertarians, I'm sad to say, that want to not disarm the police but make them carry, say, pistols only, or no armor, or no body armor, because, or whatever the ridiculous argument is, because it looks too intimidating and militaristic. Yet who's going to respond to this threat at a local museum or at a museum in San Francisco, right? The large Golden Gate Park,
right,
and the museums there. Who is going to be responding to those incidents? And how long will that incident go on for if you have to have the military respond to take care of it? Because 2 police officers with pistols are not going to be able to effectively stop 2, 3, or 5 armed terrorists that train together,
even 2 with some
work
military
together,
training and
right,
rifles.
and rifles. Not going to do it. You don't bring a pistol to a rifle fight, right? So this is what has me concerned right now, and I think that you have to look at both of those things simultaneously, because we have to have the law enforcement capability to be able to deal with this international terrorist threat when it happens here. Because, folks, the flip side of that means the federal government has to do it.
Right, and they're going to have all the power. And,
the flip side of that, if your local cops don't do it, and those armored vehicles and those rifles are not maintained under local control with a police department or a sheriff's department that is answerable to an elected mayor or elected city council folks or an elected sheriff, or at state level, the state legislatures or the governor, and they're immediately available for deployment, if you have to rely on the federal government to address that threat, do you think they're going to stage those resources in every municipality or every jurisdiction? There's no way.
Right. And what happens if you do cross into a tyrannical government? And I know the left goes, now you just throw, now you're just barking at the moon.
Right, but we don't even have to go there, right?
Right.
Do you want the federal government coming in and dictating
local authority?
Local authority, superseding local authority, taking over, establishing rules, establishing control points, establishing anything, whether it's for a short period of time or an extended period of time. They were. Through the why is it we have Homeland Security uniformed agents riding Amtrak trains?
Right.
Or driving in vehicles on city streets or on freeways.
Well, and then you look with the latest, the new trend with this, the federal government overseeing the training of certain police officers that's starting to happen. I think Mississippi just had the first, quote-unquote, academy class enter, where the federal government did a lot of the sensitivity training and involvement in it, et cetera, et cetera. Why do you have that at all?
Because we are potentially moving towards a nationalized police force.
Yeah. And it's sad and it's scary.
That's why.
And for the people who are worried now about local police having armored defensive vehicles or lawn guns or whatever, wait. Because then you have, at least they, like you said, they answer locally. And the vast, vast, vast majority would be more likely to protect the citizenry against a tyrannical government than vice versa.
They would. And not only that, but you have officers serving in those municipalities that are part of the community.
Yes.
So in many cases, they understand the concerns of the community. Now, that doesn't mean the community has to like them or cooperate with them or trust them, because a lot of times there is not that trust. But that does not mean that the officer working that area, whatever it is, area they patrol, doesn't mean that they don't understand the problems and the needs of that community. And if that officer does something wrong or out of line, then that officer is held accountable by that community, and rightfully so. They're the ones that understand that, right? It's like education should be locally
should be localized and not nationalized.
You lose all of that.
You give it up.
We, the people, lose that power and authority and oversight when we have a federal force coming in, taking over those functions,
and local
whether
and
it's
state
temporary
laws
or
go out the
not.
window.
Yeah, whether it's temporary or not in a state emergency, they have no saying. Look, they don't come in and enforce state law.
No,
they come in and enforce federal law.
Yep.
And now you're being held to answer for federal violations, as opposed to.
Well, and then you look at the 10th Amendment itself. What that does to 10th Amendment states' rights.
Right.
You have states'
There
laws.
is no authority for a national police force.
Right.
Or a
You
Homeland
look at Utah
Security
today
force.
where they signed, the Utah governor signed the bill that forbids local and state authorities from enforcing any sort of illegal federal guidelines within the state, and from the feds to come in and try to enforce said laws. So,
right.
in Alaska and Kansas have similar laws. That goes away. That protection goes away.
Yes.
Because now you have federal agents who are answering to Washington, D.C.
And not the local community.
Community.
And so I think, but you have to view both of these problems simultaneously.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't, we can talk about them individually, but you put those two together and you really see the importance of having a strong, well-equipped local law enforcement agency or team or officers.
Right, and I hate the argument when you talk about this that you might have. Well, you always have that one. You always have that one in every.
You always have that one in everything.
There's always going to be that one.
And statistically speaking, it's not the one cop.
It's
right?
less than
it's
one.
less than one.
Yes.
It's less than one. Now, in California, there was an incident here, the West Hollywood shootout.
Yes.
where
Bank robbery.
basically the bank robbery shootout scene from the movie Heat was reenacted in real life on the streets.
12 years ago now, longer.
And the officers were completely
Ill-equipped.
overpowered again. And this was not two terrorists trained in small unit tactics. These were two knuckleheads
that were bank
that
robbers.
saw a movie, right? Yep. And they wreaked a lot of havoc and destruction.
Oh, and
those officers were overwhelmed. They had to go to gun stores to beg for guns and
stores.
ammunition to
Yep.
stop them. As a result of that, there are agencies, and I know the big one, the big state agency, the California Highway Patrol, actually, after that incident, put rifles in all of the patrol cars. That way, at least their officers are able and capable to respond to a major incident like that. And other municipalities did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot more rifles in cars, maybe not in every single patrol car, but rifle teams are formed where you have a certain number of officers per shift that are trained. I like the Highway Patrol, California Highway Patrol's response of just, hey, train all of our officers in every patrol car and everybody knows how to use it, and we're not just going to have a few folks on shift that we call, right?
Right, and LAPD at the time, they had submachine guns, but they were 9mm rounds, and these guys had 2 level of vests
right
over most of their body.
That was the standard for tactical teams at the time.
Right.
If you remember, was
submachine
that
gun.
9mm
MP5,
the Heckler & Koch, just subgun.
Yep.
Which was a great weapon inside, right?
It was perfect with the person without any armor on.
It's a great weapon to put a lot of pistol rounds into a target in close quarters, right?
Right. Yep, CQB.
Yeah, but anybody with a long gun
and armor,
that
was it.
Done.
Yep. So we should have learned the lesson. There's been other times that the lesson has popped up too, and again, we seem to ignore that in this country. We seem to. The mainstream media and the government itself, to a point, and I'll say Holder and the DOJ, does a great job of turning the local police department into these monsters. And listen, we've talked about this before. Look at Ferguson. You had witness number 101 being the only witness out of all of them, 101. He was witness number 101. That means there was 100 before him and more after him. Was the only person who said that Michael Brown put his hands up and said, "Don't shoot," after getting shot at. His statement was that Brown was walking away, for those who forget, put his hands up, turned around, and stepped back at the police officer with his hands in the air saying, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." That was the narrative that was run in this country by everybody in mainstream media when everybody else told the truth, and that was not the case. He was actively attacking the police officer. And as we found out, what was being told is true was 100% false. And look at what the damage that did to the view of police in this country by a majority of people.
And then the Justice Department comes out and talks about how horrible the system is over there and it's racist and why do they have these ticky-tack laws like walking in the street. Hey, guess what, J.A.? It doesn't matter. The states and local municipalities can pass those laws. If they don't want people walking in the street, well, guess what? They're not going to let people walk in the street, right? If they don't want you to fart in your front lawn on Sunday afternoon after 2 p.m. because church groups come door to door and it's rude, then they're going to pass that ordinance. It's not the federal government's job to oversee that. And so this report was completely infuriating and, in my opinion, helped contribute to the violence that we saw recently in Ferguson, including the fact that we got 2 more officers shot.
Right.
But all of this, to bring it back to Tunisia, again, you can't look at these events one at a time. And I bring the whole law enforcement community relations thing into the mix just to show that one issue is a very serious threat to the United States. And who's going to deal with that threat? It's going to be your first responders, your local law enforcement. That's
Always.
going to the fire guys are going to go climb ladders and wait for the fires and put them out and help with emergencies and so forth, right? Make tri-tip for everybody.
That's an emergency.
That is an emergency, actually, and they make tremendous tri-tip.
Yes.
But the law enforcement's going to respond to that, and I'm very concerned with how that's going right now in our country. And that's kind of how those two kind of melded together. It's not that we got off topic, but they actually do connect.
And And I was doing some research, and this is from the BBC. The Tunisian president vowed to fight terrorism without mercy. So they are calling this. I mean, obviously it's a terror attack, but officially the Tunisian government is actually saying that it is terror. Earlier in the day, with the prime minister saying it was an Islamist, so it's Islamist terror.
And speaking of that, ISIS, we really don't have a true terror block tonight, so we'll just kind of roll this in. Did you see it came out earlier this week where the Kurds are saying that ISIS used chemical weapons against them?
Yes, I did.
Which is weird. I didn't think there were any chemical weapons anywhere
Nowhere
in the
Middle East to be found.
Right, Bush lied.
Right, Bush lied. And people died, remember?
Right. I remember Bush lied, people died. So where did these chemical weapons come from?
Ooh. Well, you can't trust the Kurds.
No, you can't trust
those
Kurds.
They're only on the forefront and giving their lives essentially to protect that entire region and going to do it with vim and vigor and to protect their homeland and their livelihood and the surrounding areas. People don't realize the importance of the Kurds in this battle. The Kurds are what is keeping this battle at bay. The Iraqi government still is not up for it. They're starting to get in shape, it looks like, the last few weeks, but they're still not up for this challenge. It's the Kurds. So when they allege that the ISIS is starting to use chemical weapons, we need to consider that a reasonable belief. We need to say, as reasonable people and a reasonable government, okay, if our only ally and the only people that are bringing the fight to them are saying this, and there's got to be proof, I'm sure they're not dumb enough to just randomly say this, then we need to go forth and investigate this further and help them out more.
Where do we go from here?
Well, I've said before and I've said again.
I mean, I know the answer to that. We've talked about it before, right? And how to prepare ourselves. But I fear that we are so short-sighted in this country as a whole. And I know that the president has asked for Congress's authority, which I was very pleased that he did, to fight ISIS. But man, how about an all-out declaration of war? And then get our NATO allies involved.
Right. No, I think we need to absolutely get involved. I think that we need...
No, like war.
Yes.
There's no other way to stop them.
No, I agree. I'm sorry. Yes, I firmly agree that we need to declare war and move. And while that's starting to warm up, we need to give the Kurds as much support as we possibly can. Look at, you have people from all over this world who are going to join the Kurds. I read a great article about 8 former British military members, most special forces, who have gone and joined the Kurds' fight against ISIS to try to stop it before it gets back to Britain. You had the gentleman from Australia who was a military member that had died recently over in the fight with ISIS. And you have more and more and more. Listen, like I said, I know a former Marine that if he could figure out how to go fight with the Kurds, he'd be there tomorrow. For a litany of different reasons. And he says that time and again, and because it's the right thing to do. And a lot of it was the ground that was lost and the lives that were lost in Iraq after we pulled out, that ISIS took over. And how many Marines lost their lives, and military members lost their lives to take that to begin with. And now it's gone. So, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people who want to help the Kurds, and that's something we need to be doing more. And by help the Kurds, I mean we should have people on the ground standing next to them helping the Kurds. And it's sad. It shouldn't
Training the Kurds.
Train the Kurds, arm the Kurds, give the Kurds some armor. Let's get things going. Let's roll things up. It really is time to do the right thing. And listen, if we don't bring this fight to them, this fight is going to be brought to us. Mark my words. It will be here before we know it. It's already showing up, and I can't wait to see what happened in Sweden. I can't wait to see if it was another attack or not, or if it was just a localized, non-political attack, if you will. But, a lot of these attacks we're seeing more and more, and our own former military members are trying to join ISIS. And I know it's just one guy that we know of. You can talk about Bergdahl and a couple other ones, but this Air Force guy specifically...
That's not one.
Well, no.
That's and Hassan.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, he wasn't trying to go join ISIS. He was just,
he was just carrying out an attack.
Right, that's totally different.
Completely
Workplace
different.
violence.
I apologize. I don't know what I was thinking about.
Real quick, they going to charge him with treason?
Who?
this Air Force guy?
They should.
They should.
Of course they should.
Will he be, if convicted, do you think they will execute him?
No, but I think they should.
Right. I absolutely think they should.
I don't think they're going to charge him with treason.
I don't think so.
And I don't think they're going to execute him. But they should.
Right. Both need to be done.
Upon conviction.
Absolutely, and that's upon conviction.
Not just willy-nilly.
No, not just all willy-nilly.
Right. We're up against a break, my friend.
We are up against a break.
When we come back, is there going to be a repeal of Obamacare in the latest budget bill? Is this where the Republicans are trying to go?
I hope so. We're going to talk about that on the other side here.
Hang on a sec. Terror Block this week was brought to you by Patriot Ordnance Factory, POF. In my humble opinion, the best AR-style platform rifles on the market today. Tremendous, tremendous weapon system. 223-308. Check them out. POF-USA.com. POF-USA. And a tremendous Tomahawk that they have out now as well. Awesome. It is just amazing. So if you are worried about the zombie apocalypse, we highly suggest you pick one up.
2 or 3.
2 or 5.
Give them to your friends.
They're Patriot gear. Awesome stuff. Check out their posters, T-shirts. But
just
their
go
weapons,
to their website.
If you've never shot one, if you've never shot a POF, but you've shot other AR platform rifles, you will notice the difference with the rolling cam pin technology. The other things they have in there are just a tremendous weapon.
And just go to their website. Even if you're not ready to buy a weapon right now.
Right.
Their website is so awesome. You have to check the artwork and just everything.
Send a comment. Tell them the Sackhead sent you.
Absolutely. Do that right now. As a matter of fact, if you're in our chat room, I challenge you to do that as we speak. We're going to be back on the other side here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
Did you notice how we had a rifle company sponsor Terror Block?
Because
that's kind of what we should do.
How did we do that?
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
Which we
did. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening in the last 30 minutes of the show. This is where we normally just coast downhill and just take it easy and kind of meander through the day, but not tonight. The GOP budget is that they're proposing right now contains a repeal of Obamacare and a $5.5 trillion cut. House Republicans unleashed, if you will, the 2016 budget a couple days ago, yesterday as a matter of fact, with the $5.5 trillion spending cut over the next 5 years. It's so weird to have a budget that has actual cuts in it, right? Also, a full repeal of Obamacare.
Da-da-da-da, Steve. You ready to take the pledge?
Okay. I promise.
A full repeal of Obamacare, as well as an overhaul of the Medicare system. This is huge, and this is why I think it's huge, and correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time a repeal of Obamacare has come out that's had a decent alternative with fixing Medicare. I talked about this before, that I believe that when it was time to repeal Obamacare, which was a day after it was conceived, however, when the Republicans took office and they were going to repeal Obamacare, that you needed to have something in place to legislate with, if you will. You need to have some sort of plan in place, and it's good that they're starting to do that, because I think that shows the voters that it's not an anti-Obamacare thing, which I think the voters
understand that it actually is. Because it is.
It is, but it's
most
not,
of the country hates it.
Right, but I think so.
So let's call it what it is.
I think a lot of people still think, though, that they're repealing Obamacare because it's Obamacare. Because
no, they're
of the
repealing
person,
it because it sucks.
Well, because of the person versus the bill.
I don't think so, because most of Americans agree that it's horrible and it should be repealed.
Right, but most people still get mad at the Republicans.
I think the Republican. I think that's hype in the media, a lot of that, and I think it's the Republicans being scared of their own shadow and say, "Oh, people are just going to be mad at us because we don't have anything to replace it with." So no, I think that's something the Republicans did to themselves. I think if they completely got out of it. Now, am I saying that the medical that it didn't need some reform? Yeah, it did. I think it needs a lot less regulation.
Yes.
Let the free market figure it out.
Right.
Right,
Well,
don't have insurance exchanges that are closed by state borders. Have it open, but I don't know that you have to replace it with a whole new package, right? With new regulations and new things to put in, and I don't know the specifics of what's in it, so I don't want to speak out of school. But I don't think this argument of, well, you need to repeal and replace the entire thing. You don't need to replace it. You need to repeal it and then open it up to the free market principles and let the market sort it out. It seems easy to me. But then again, we have a small little thin few sheets of paper that established our entire system of government, and we're passing
and 13
laws.
billion sheets of paper later for one healthcare system.
Right, and we're passing laws that are so ridiculously overcomplex that, I mean, if I can give the Constitution to my 10-year-old daughter,
and have her read
she can
front to back.
explain it to me,
Yep.
how our government works, very, very clearly.
Right.
This established the greatest nation on earth, and my 10-year-old can tell me what it means.
And she is smart.
No, she's not. No, she is. She's actually very,
She's
very
very smart.
She's very smart. But that's not the point, right? So
no, she's not.
The fact that she can explain that, and we have laws now that takes attorneys and lawyers years to sort out through lawsuits and challenges and explanations and briefs, is completely ridiculous. We should write a constitutional amendment requiring all legislation to fit on the size of a postage stamp.
That would be so great. Only because I'd love to see it when they go in front of Congress to present it, trying to read it with the giant magnifying glass and like a pair of tweezers.
Right. Either that or a 3x5 card. Joe Biden would be like, I can write that sentence.
Yeah. I got it. I got Obamacare right here. It involves the word pants and off. It's a law. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Oh, the ayes have it. Joe, this is a Dunkin' Donuts. And that's law. Have a good day, everybody. Look, when this bill was passed, and I know this is beating a dead horse, but when you have Nancy Pelosi stand in front of the nation and say you can find out what's in it when we pass it, that is just so frightening to think that people were behind that. And I don't care if it's a politician on the left. I don't care if it's a politician on the right, one in the middle, someone totally different. If your Congress is trying to pass laws and they don't want you to see it, it's not a good law. And I don't care what's in it. As soon as they find a reason to keep it from the public eye, it's not a good law. Because they're being deceptive with the people that they're supposed to be answering to. They answer to us. We don't answer to them. So that alone is a problem. And then you move on to actually what's in the bill. I mean, that is actually more frightening.
What I do like about the GOP budget or proposal is that it calls for specifically a complete repeal of Obamacare. And it calls starting over with a patient-centered approach to healthcare reform. Basically saying, look, we know we have to fix it, but we're going to completely scrap this because it's garbage. But we are going to start over, and basically they're stating their legislative intent is to start over with a patient-centered approach.
Perfect.
Right? Not a approach from to take the insurance companies' interests primarily to heart or anything else. But hey, here's our intent: to completely repeal Obamacare and to start over, but with the intent that anything we build is patient-centered.
Yes. And I'm okay with that.
And that's what I like. I like having that language in there because it's clear that we're worried about the patient
and the citizens.
Exactly. And let the free market work it out.
Well, and I said this before Obamacare even was passed. There's a few things you could do right now that Congress could do without any problems to improve our healthcare system quickly. Number one, tort reform, especially when it comes to BS malpractice suits. Everyone knows that when you go in to get a medical procedure done, there is a risk that there can be a problem. Now, I'm not saying you should give free rein to the doctors to just cut and paste whatever they want everywhere.
Willy-nilly.
All willy-nilly like.
Right.
You know, obviously there needs to be a standard, but on the other hand, you need to cap and be very, very clear about what you can and what you cannot sue for. If you go in for a quadruple bypass and you're told there's an 80% chance that you're not going to live and you die and your family tries to sue for malpractice, no, I'm sorry. They did everything they could. You knew this was a risk when you went in. And the doctor, we found that the doctor's done nothing fraudulent.
Right.
It just didn't work.
But if you go in for that same quadruple bypass and you're told you have an 80% chance of not surviving the surgery and you come out and your left nipple is stapled to your forehead, that's problematic.
Right. Or if there's a marble in your aorta, something.
Right. Maybe you could sue for that.
Because then they were playing jacks while you were out.
Right. Which is kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. Right. We need a doctor with a sense of humor.
Just picture waking up with my nipple on my forehead.
I know.
Oh, that didn't go well.
It paints a picture, doesn't it?
So, Doc, what you're telling me is there was some issues.
Right.
No, actually.
So Biden was watching the surgery.
Everything went exactly as planned.
And he dared me, basically, because he read a post. I dared Joe Biden. So he dared me to, and I had to do it. I'm sorry, son.
So tort reform would drive down the cost that is put on the doctors, their insurance, as well as the hospitals.
You also mentioned Medicare reform, and under their plan, it's going to be almost like a voucher system, where senior citizens who join Medicare either 2024 or after, they're going to receive a subsidy or a voucher in order to purchase health insurance privately.
Where they want.
Right, privately.
So they can actually keep their doctor.
With Obamacare, you could.
No,
he said,
that didn't happen.
No, he said, but he said.
I didn't keep mine.
But he said.
I know he said. He said a lot of things. I still didn't keep mine. Naysayer. And one of the other things, too, is the ability to sell across state lines. And at which point You have competition. Competition inherently drives down price. Because there is a standard in the medical field, it does not drive down the quality of care that you would receive. It would just drive down price. And I think I made the statement about California making a state car before and use that as the analogy. When you don't allow anyone else to sell cars in your state, but the only car you can buy is
Chevy, say?
State of California.
I was going to say Chevy because I figured it's owned by, anyways.
We own it anyhow, but that's neither here
nor
there.
Not anymore, but what? Yeah.
And the price is exorbitant. Say Russia, where you have to order it and then wait 10 years, way back when the Soviet Union was running large. When you don't have that competition, it obviously drives the price up.
Look,
so selling across state lines would be a huge
I have
way.
to say something here.
Yes.
If there is anybody in our audience who has never read Wealth of Nations, please read Wealth of Nations. Over the next, I'll give you a month. Read Wealth of Nations, please. It's the foundation of our economic system. And our system today does not look like what it is supposed to look like. I believe it came out in 1776, Adam Smith. By the way, if you want a great game to play, when a salesperson comes to your front door and rings the doorbell, not that I've ever done this before, but say, listen, stop. I will listen to your spiel because you are obviously a capitalist, correct? You are a salesperson. You believe in free market principles, sales, and so forth, private companies, right? And, of course, they're going to want to agree with you because they want your ear in your business. And they say, okay, I will listen to your spiel and give it serious consideration to purchase whatever it is you're selling if you tell me who Adam Smith was and why was he important.
But you have to sing the Jeopardy theme in their face.
No, you have to. That's a must. Because
Right,
I remember I did that to one guy while you were over at my house playing cards or something. Jacks. Maybe we were playing Jacks, Tiddlywinks. Maybe we were just. I think we were actually just building a fort and getting ready to
it was
play.
the pillow fort that we did that night.
Right,
I remember
right.
that.
Remember we actually got online and we talked a bunch of garbage to those 12-year-olds while we were playing Modern Warfare.
And all the kids
Remember
were
that?
like, Daddy, can we play in it?
And we're like, no,
go
get
back
away,
outside.
kid.
We're playing in the. Yeah, I remember
Right.
that
They're like,
now.
it's 11:30 at night. We're like, we don't care.
That was the best night
go.
ever.
And the funny thing is, anybody that has any idea of what we are actually pictured that. We had a bunch of listeners right now just go, hey, I could see them doing that.
I'm not shocked.
Right,
actually.
like not at all. Right, I'm surprised they didn't say they didn't have pants on. Right, which you did.
Well, they were my G.I. Joe pajamas.
They were the feety ones.
Yes. Dude, you know how much that cost me to get made? I had to find the fabric and go find a seamstress. It wasn't cheap.
Look, I'm not judging you. I had my Transformer ones on, remember?
No, I do.
You remember what I transformed into? It's not important. Listen.
More than meets the eye.
Right.
Quick question out of the chat room.
Yeah.
Should people read Wealth of Nations before or after 50 Shades of Grey? Ag wants to know.
Oh, Ag wants to know. Listen, I would say, so I always have a couple books going at the same time, and I would recommend the same for you, right?
Okay.
So read Wealth of Nations is kind of your intellectual book as you get going, and your personal time, you just kind of want some time for you, read 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay. He also had a great book idea called 50 Shades of Freedom, a book with 50 essays and such on constitutionalism.
I'll write one of the essays. Who's the other 49?
We'll work on it. How's that?
Ag, I love that idea.
I think that's an amazing idea.
We'll help you publish it.
Absolutely.
We'll help you publish it. And Sean and I will each write one of the essays, so 48 to go, and I know you'll write one, and I know Ken will write one. And Liz
Dan
Loris
Butcher.
owes us one now since she's taken, so she'll have to write
she's
one.
Gonna get even
she's going to have to write like a few, I think, maybe. Sacco, we don't want Sacco to write one.
Well, no, Sacco can write one. It just won't.
It won't make the final cut.
Right.
Right.
He's saying we should start SHR Publishing, get into publishing.
Yeah.
Why not?
Look, I love this idea. I honestly do. I love this idea that Ag just had.
Actually, my good friend, Big Mouth Patriots in the chat room, Mr. E, who was on the show a few times a while back, he would absolutely be able to write a great one.
Yep.
So,
look, let's farm it out. Ag, if you're serious, let's...
Ken's will only count as half, according to Ken.
No. 3/5.
3/5?
Right, 3/5.
Well, in that case,
that's more than half, Ken. Give yourself some credit. You know, I hate it when you denigrate yourself like that.
In that case, Mysteries would also count as 3/5.
Right. So together they have 6/5. They're writing more than anybody else. They're writing 1 1/5 of an article.
I have to do an equation? No, I don't want any part of this.
What are they complaining about? What are you people complaining about?
What do you mean, you people?
People in the chat room.
Oh, well,
what do you think I mean?
They're complaining that Ken obviously thinks that he's going to be 3/5. And that's only if it's a bad article.
No, that's if it's a good article. That's the maximum points you're allowed.
Egg in the chat room says, see that? Once again, all the black people are doing all the work. I think that's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea.
You know what, Egg? You have my email, and we can collaborate on that. I'm not kidding. I think I was going to include you, but he doesn't have
I don't
your
need to
email.
Collaborate at all.
He doesn't have your email.
Yeah, he does. It's Clint at SHR.
Well, now he has your email.
Because he couldn't figure it out before? Ag, I apologize that my partner is calling you less than educated.
I didn't say that.
You implied it.
I'm just saying maybe he didn't see it in the chat room.
Right.
I'm just saying it went up a while ago. That wasn't a joke.
That was a joke.
Ag, I'm sorry, buddy.
No, you're not.
You know, Clint has to turn everything just tawdry and horrible.
Well, you're just telling these jokes, blindly throwing things out there. You're not even trying to hide what you're doing.
Oh, man. You know what? I should have seen that coming, but I didn't. Ken says we have to release it 365 days before the 2016 election. We got to get to work then. Because, you know what? I know somebody who's in publishing that could help us. Seriously? Let's start a collaboration. Let's get this done. I think this is a brilliant idea. Ag?
We need 50 different authors, I think. And you know who? I'd like to see Dr. Randy Arrington write one. If he'd be willing
Randy,
to.
Yes, Dr. Randy A. There's a lot of our good friends who would be amazing at this that we have to touch.
Cammie,
yep.
if she would be willing to write one. She is. I've seen some articles that she's written.
She's got an article on SHR Media right now.
Amazing.
So if you have a chance, check that out. Scott and Judith, the authors we had on a long time ago, they would be awesome at it. There's some, you know what? Now let's start getting the name list together. Everyone write one essay on it, and let's get it done. Even if we do it just digital.
I think we publish it hard copy.
Even if we start with just digital and go hard copy.
Patriot Press.
That's already out.
Is it?
SHR,
Dang it.
SHR Media Press is SHR Publishing.
Okay.
If we could do a little A in there, we could call it Sharp.
No.
And an R. A and an R.
No, Shop.
Just doesn't.
Shop.
Well, where I'm from, and actually
it'd have to be Shop.
Where Big Mouth Patriot's from, it's Shop.
Shop.
We're wicked Shop. Wicked Shop. You know what? I think this is a brilliant idea.
It is a brilliant idea. We haven't had matchup yet.
What's tonight's matchup?
Ag v. Ken.
I'm going to take Ag.
Are you really?
Ken is too sweet. Ag's got an edge. I think Ag's got an edge.
Do you?
Yep, absolutely. I think Ag could take Ken.
I have to go with Ken now.
Oh.
Look, if I take Ag, we're racist, right?
Uh-huh.
And if I take Ken, it's kind of like the token thing.
Uh-huh.
But I'm going to take Ken. Because Ken's got more street smarts, and that's not like an urban thing, Ken. I'm sorry if you take it that way. It actually kind of is. So I'm going to go with Ken on this one.
Yeah, but see, Ag comes armed with a cane.
Right, but Ken is in the D.C. area, so he knows all the underhanded dirtiness and how to play that as well.
Ag is in an area that allows rifles and such.
Right.
So now he also has that ability.
But Ken knows how to evade and is actually Nick Fury from the Avengers.
Oh, and he also, that makes all the sense in the world now. I'm still sticking with Ag. That's my choice tonight for matchup.
Look, I'm still saying that we go as the Beverly Hills Cop characters, me, you, and Ken.
Well, I
Vegas.
also think that you and I, specifically, should go as the Blues Brothers.
Oh, we decided that a long time ago.
I think that is still, I'm working on my cartwheel.
Are you really?
Yep.
We actually have to sing, though.
Oh, of course we do.
Ken, start taking steroids and working out, and you could be Carl Weathers.
Ken says, guess what I am armed with? This is a slippery slope.
I don't want to answer.
I don't want to answer
I don't want to
this
answer
at
that
all.
because I know, but I don't want to answer.
Well, Ag's got you here. He says if Ken's Nick Fury, then he's Daredevil.
Who's Daredevil?
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Don't give me that who's
Then
Daredevil.
okay, fine. Ken's the Falcon.
Oh, no, you already went with Nick Fury. You can't change him.
I can change him. We don't need two blind guys running around. Nick Fury has one eye patch. That'd be a mess. One eye between both of them. We can't have that. I reconsidered.
Oh man, this has been such a fun show.
It's been a fun show.
I love when we end on a high point. The idea of the 50 Shades of America essay is just awesome.
50 Shades of Freedom. Get it right.
50 Shades of Freedom. I apologize.
What's wrong
Write
with
that
you?
down. I do want to talk about a fund that I've been working on in a fundraiser real quick. It's called Give Time to a Hero. It's to raise money for our special operators in the forward on the front lines. It's to purchase a watch for each one of them. It's the watch that they prefer to use, that they have to come out of pocket for. And our friend Greg Phillips and a couple other people have thrown their name behind this. Greg has come up with it and really started to push it forward, and it's just starting to get underway as we speak. It's only less than a week old that the campaign's been open. If you go to fundly.com/give-time, you can donate. Each watch is going to be inscripted. And Greg's dream on this is that every single time one of these operators looks down at their watch, they know that the people in this country are thinking of them and supporting them, and it's a great cause. Something I'm proud to be a part of, and something I'm going to continue to work with for the foreseeable future. So Give Time for a Hero. Check them out. Just $5-10. Everything helps. It's a good cause. It's a legit cause. And you have my word on that.
It's been a great show, my friend.
It has been an awesome show.
I will speak with you again on...
Mystery jumps right in. Big Mouth Patriot. I'm the Black Panther since we've crossed into the Marvel Universe now.
Did he say he's the Black Panther?
Panther.
Why would he pants black people only? That's kind of racist of him. I'm not going to lie. Well, white people don't have stuff you want to check out there?
Maybe not. I don't even want
Maybe
to
not.
know.
I don't know either, but he's the one that said Black Panther. Not me.
Follow us on Twitter at Sackheads and on Facebook, Sackheads Radio. If you want me, I will be Sackhead Sean on Facebook. You can check me out tomorrow, 12 p.m. East, 9 in the Pacific on WNJC 1360 AM in Philadelphia for my Edge of Liberty show. Dude, this night went too fast once again.
No, it didn't.
Oh,
I need another beer.
Yeah, I need at least another beer. We will see you next Wednesday evening.
No, I will see you Tuesday.
Yes, you will, as a matter of fact.
I will talk to you Tuesday. I'll see you before
I
then.
think we'll see before. Either way.
Either way.
We will get it figured out.
We will, but we'll be back with you all next Tuesday. Or Wednesday. What is wrong with you tonight?
Me.
Sacco's not here.
That's what it is. Dude, our broadcast clock is all screwed up.
What are you, a representative? Dude?
Dude.
Dude, you're their boss.
Dude, you're their boss. They earn your respect. It's just so great. That's entered into the congressional record now. Dude,
you're their boss. I could picture that from like a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Super Troopers.
Something like
Something,
that.
right?
Something. It was awesome. Hey, make sure you check out on Pundit Press. Ag's going to do 11-minute Unpleasant Blind Guy Up. Absolute great piece to listen to. Do not miss it. The Unpleasant Blind Guy from March 18th. Make sure you check out Evan Miller Report tomorrow at 5, followed by the exceptional one, Ken McClinton, right here on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much. We will talk to you soon.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in in conservative talk, the Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.